Hello, agents. Okay, so you know what's looming if you are a follower of Agent Ali, right? The second movie. Also subtitled Mrs. Satria. Yeah.
Quick clarification. Yes, unfortunately, if you want to catch this movie, you have to understand the context of even until the latest one, season 3 of Agent Ali. So you have to do your homework.
Yep.
And other than that, you also need to know that there's like a 2 after credit scenes.
Mid credits and post credits. Yeah. So just 2.
So this movie, oh my god, this is such a masterpiece. I tell you straight up that this is like everything that you could ever want. Yes, obviously based on our qualification, that can be criticized that, in the sense that this won't bring more people into Agent Ali because this is going to rely on people having being fan of Agent Ali, which can be a bad thing. But after movies like Infinity War and Endgame, can you blame people trying to go this route, especially if you have a bigger universe and you have to expand upon it, and if everything is like a recycled thing, it's gonna get even tiring also in a way. People have said stuff about franchise fatigue, everything like that, right? But I've seen like a lot of DC cartoon movies that could work a lot better if they were continuations instead of a recycled thing where every Justice League have to reintroduce themselves, and that's kind of like annoying.
Wait. Would you say this is similar to Kaha, which is also another movie that is part of a bigger franchise, in which you have to have a pre-existing knowledge of things that goes on with the original IP before going to the expansion?
I would say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that it helps that you know the story, right? But this movie, in spite of like being a direct continuation and everything like that, in of itself, even without all the context, even if you're lost, the movie, weirdly enough, can stand on its own because it has a lot of great qualities about it. As for Kaha, the problem with that, even though it's supposed to be a prequel, it doesn't touch enough upon the politics that are supposed to be the main point of the entirety of that franchise. I'm talking particularly about Project High Council and Kaha. What I meant by that is, in Kaha, it focus more too much on the combat that like people won't get the intrigue. Even if people become fans of Project High Council because of Kaha, doesn't change the fact that they don't know what they're missing. There's so much more to Project High Council in terms of its politics that is not expanded upon or even revisited in its prequel, that it's supposed to be an origin story, but unfortunately it's just missing the meat. It's just mostly the dressing.
Interesting. So this is like yes and no because of like how apparently, well, as we watch Agent Ali the movie 2, right, the second movie, it expands upon the pre-established intrigue of the spy world of Mata,
Yes.
right? As opposed to Kaha, which is only like expand upon the superficial part of the franchise in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. And
Okay.
another thing
Okay, I get it.
about, we're getting ahead of ourselves a bit, but my train of thought only goes in one way, so I'm gonna say it as I think I'm thinking it. We also live in a crazy time where Mission Impossible 8, the Final Reckoning, it wasn't received as well. But then this thing, which I think like most of spy thrillers, including Agent Ali, is either inspired by James Bond or Mission Impossible, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
right
yeah.
now, even before this movie, right, Agent Ali is way more celebrated than even the 7th installment of Mission Impossible. Which why I see Mission Impossible is because going into Mission Impossible, which is kind of late in the game, which was like only 3 years ago that I started to really sit down and watch. Going in, I thought it was going to be like a team of spies. They do spy stuff or whatever. Whereas it was not that. But most of the time, the center stage will go to the character Ethan Hunt, a solo act in particular, right? He does most of the heavy lifting of the craziest like stunts, known to man, right? And I thought at first, like I said, James Bond, right? James Bond's gonna be like the solo acting, and Mission Impossible was gonna be the team thing. But turns out it's kind of similar in James Bond in that way, right? Now going back to Agent Ali, what I wanted from Mission Impossible, which I didn't get, which is not a fault of Mission Impossible, that's not the point. It does show a bunch of like different members, different people with different abilities, and this is a show where even though Agent Ali is the namesake is the center stage, it focus more on like a team-based thing which everyone is on the field a lot of the time.
Funny, I like to do this thing. Funny, you should say that because yesterday, which is the day before the film on this review, right? So we went to
This is
watch.
the 23rd of May. Yesterday was 22nd of May.
So on the 32nd, we watch this movie together. I watched it for the second time. He watched it for the first time because I went to the gala premiere. And later that night, this is actually important. We watched Keluang Man, right? The Keluang Man gala premiere. So uh during like after, I think after everything, and we were about to shoot our a review with Buzzpop for Keluang Man, right? I saw there's like a Mission Impossible standee right next to Keluang Man's, and they were quick to remove the Mission Impossible standee to build the Keluang Man standee instead in place of Mission Impossible, which is like I cannot believe I'm saying that right now. I don't know why I said standee twice there, but what I meant to say was in place of Mission Impossible standee, they transferred the display for Keluang Man's different costume evolution from the movie, from the gala premiere side to the cinema side. But still, doesn't change the fact that they replaced Mission Impossible standee with Keluang Man's costume display. What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
This is that shows how much like our homegrown stuff is like popping off right now.
Yeah, and it is like
It beats Mission Impossible.
and the thing about which will we get into, there are some similarities which make Agent Ali and Keluang Man kind of like similar in a way. It's not gonna be a direct similarities right now, so that's why it's kind of irrelevant to go into right now. But I'm just glad that finally Malaysians can reciprocate, right? But I'm just saying from the people that I do know have watched Agent Ali, the second movie, people that I do know have watched Keluang Man, they enjoy the heck out of it and they are kind of like proud of it to the point that this is going to be the kind of thing that we want to show to the world. Whereas before, it's like we want to force feed these very mediocre movies to push it in the international market. But it turns out that these are kind of mediocre because one of the main problems of most of these movies is that they are too concerned with trying to catch up with the international market that it loses, that they don't even have the identity, the genome makeup of a Malaysian movie. Whereas these two, Agent Ali and Keluang Man, kind of is. And getting into Agent Ali, the second movie, man, this movie it takes me by surprise. Because it actually refocuses on what we should care about. A lot of characters, specifically the civilians, like characters like Victor, and there are other side characters like Sasi, which I think wasn't really prominent before, but was he shown before in the early
I
seasons?
think I think he was there, but it's just a character that is in the story, in the universe.
And then
That's
there's
it.
there's the teacher and everything like that, which to me is kind of a good thing because in a like save the world situation, typically like superhero movies and everything like that, right? You kind of want to see the people that you should care about and protect, right? So it's good that this movie take the time to go back to the civilian, whereas it's like a direct contrast to the previous project. That's like I call it when I was talking to my friends everything. I try to make it clear that I find them that as 5 projects, which means is Agent Ali season 1, Agent Ali season 2, Agent Ali the first movie, Agent Ali season 3, and then Agent Ali the second movie. What I mean by that is because they have like different focuses and they all feel different, which is good because this is like just rehashing the same thing over and over again. Whereas the third season of the series focuses on just the spies, right? Team building and everything like that, and make them show more of their skills, which they don't get to do much on the first 2 seasons simply because we want to focus way more on the main character, which is good, right? Because that's the point of naming a show based on the titular character, right? Okay, now in season 3 they do that thing where it's about time we show the stuff from the other characters, right? Unlike, like Mission Impossible, just mostly focus on Ethan Hunt, and
Yeah.
right. And then when we finally get to the movie, this one it goes back to season 1. It goes back to the other characters. I like that. They even have a scene where I was like, I was watching them study. Yeah, study. They doing math.
The study group, yeah.
Study group. MATH. They doing math,
Mathematics.
counting,
Mathematics,
mathematics.
yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is a really good scene. Takes its time, its character building, everything like that. How do they have time to do this? And then I forgot that I'm watching a movie, not a series, which is good because despite its presentation, despite its like more focus, right? Because it has just 2 hours instead of like many hours, it is still like a movie is still longer than an episode. So whereas they do not have time to do it in the series, they have time to do it in the movies. But at the same time, I forgot that I was watching a movie because the writing is just if as good, if not better, than the series. That it feels that I was watching the series and I forgot that I'm watching a movie. That's good. That's awesome. So it's like in a way it's interchangeable. You get it now? Why I say these are called projects. 5 projects: season 1, season 2, movie 1, season 3, and then movie 2.
And continuing the streak of Wow Animations, which is the studio behind the Agent Ali franchise, right? Of respecting the audience's intelligence. This is yet another one which has solid writing, and I can't believe it. This is like, okay, and another one is incredible, very incredible and fluid and inspired action sequences. It was bonkers how they're like, it's easy to be, impressed by Japanese animation where they have lots and lots of time to own, develop their craft in animation, and it's mostly 2D, right? But in Malaysia, 2D doesn't really pop off that much in terms of like,
And 2D is really expensive and
Uh,
really timely
and
to do.
yeah, and to adapt that 2D animation into something that requires a lot of visual whiz bang and tight action sequences in 2D is very hard, like he said. It's time consuming,
And you
and
have to draw the sequences. The
and
transition is based by your hand.
and the fact that the peeps over at Wow Animation started off with 3D and honing their skills like from season 1 until the second movie, right? Which is, I think it's almost 10 years at this point, which is crazy to think about. It gets better and better and better, and this one I'm like, the animation is so fluid in terms of like the fighting. It has more choreographed moves. It has all these like, um very intentional action sequences and poses and everything. This is crazy. Like they started off with 3D and they can do this well throughout the years.
I
And
mean, you say they started off with 3D. It's always been 3D.
no, I mean,
It's also
an
always say
anime,
like that.
I don't know where I'm
No,
going
no,
with
no, no,
this.
no, no. What? I get what you mean. What I'm just saying is like you say they started off with 3D.
No,
It's not like they
straight
stop.
up. They straight off start with
They
3D.
always do 3D. They're good at 3D.
Yeah,
And the thing is, the strength of 3D,
yeah.
right, is that because everything is already rendered there, everything is there, the background and the character, what else is alive? The camera, literally, like just like live action, 3D have the strength, the ability for you to move the camera. The camera characters can stay in place and the camera can move.
Oh,
Whereas in 2D, you have to draw the movement, so it's actually artificial, right?
actually, this is more impressive when I think
So
about it.
when
Okay,
they do
okay.
the studying, one of my friend mentioned, right?
Okay. Let's talk about this first, yeah.
They pan the camera a bit to Alicia, for example, to show more focus on the character, and then they do this camera pans, and this is the technique that you will see in live action, which like wouldn't be possible for you to imitate if you do in 2D.
Yes.
In 3D you can do that, right? And
Yeah,
I
you can
saying that
you can manipulate animation in 3D like live action.
every
Yeah, and that
character,
works.
every
For that
object
as well.
can stay in place while the camera can be moved around.
Yeah.
And just because he has that strength, not everyone have the foresight and the forethought to use that. But WoW animations really does. They really pay attention on the strength of the medium that they use, which is 3D, and make sure to pull all the stops. And the thing about this movie too, there's some fun thing that's going on towards the third act, and it was like one of the most craziest battles. I forgot to say this. He says that about the action, right? I was feeling to be worried while watching the movie because some of the action is kind of slow, but that's only because the movie is building up. Saving the best for last. The action ramps out. It gets faster and faster and cooler, right? And towards the end, it gets really bonkers. And because it's 3D, they were able to do this like objects enlarging and being small on a whim. And that is like, oh my god, the transition is so smooth and kind of like, I wouldn't say lifelike, but it is reminiscent of how we would think in a dream state. You know?
Yeah.
And the thing is, it kind of reminds me of that game. What was it called? Superliminal.
Oh, Superliminal. Yeah.
It's cool, man. If you ever seen that game, go watch the trailers. Find out if you want to get something like that. And dude, that is like
Or if you
a
like,
really good demonstration of what you can do with 3D, even outside of like a TV show. If you want to in gaming too, it's like it's freaking awesome, right? And yeah, of course, because when it comes to gaming, of course, it's predominantly 3D. So that's that.
okay, so let's do my usual gag of crapping on Zack Snyder every chance I get. I'm gonna do it now, right now, and it has something to do with Agent Ali, the movie, the second movie, right? So in Army of the Dead, he has lots of setups where like there's like zombies that are like just in outside there and they need water to be alive, and there's robot zombies, and there's like zombies that can procreate and everything. And then you saw a buzzsaw initially, like during the opening montage where the buzzsaw is used to kill zombies, and just a little bit of it, and then you're expecting the same thing to kill more zombies in a more gory fashion, right? And it turns out to be it's either doesn't pay off any of the setups because he stupidly think he can expand it as a universe.
Okay.
Right? But in this movie, Agent Ali, the movie, the second movie, right? It has lots of Chekhov's gun, a little bit of like, sometimes you don't even think that it's a Chekhov's gun, but each and every single time they set it up, it was paid off later, and it all makes sense to the story. It was like, sometimes people I just like think I want to set it up so you can think what happens instead of actually like, you know what, this is our intention, we're going to show it.
And not to conflict it because those are, it's another kind of literary device, right?
Yeah.
That's also foreshadowing. It does
And also foreshadowing, yes, and foreshadows. Yeah. The
Whereas
foreshadowing is
like
very strong.
characters saying like certain lines that is very like it is very telling of the entirety of the story. And what I like about it is that this movie is really focused on not just Ali but also characters like Alisha and like a villain that was in season 1. I don't remember this one, right?
I think it was in according to my friends, he appeared briefly as the symbol, right, in season 2 or something. I also forgot about this character, but it made a full appearance in this movie. And go ahead and talk about him.
the character, he reminds me of a villain from Teen Titans.
Okay,
There's like a nerd, a control freak or something.
okay.
Control freak can control other inanimate objects and make them do his bidding or whatever. So this guy uses spiders instead.
That he creates on his own, yeah.
Yeah, and they're both nerds and they both have a very impatient attitude about them.
Yeah.
Like they're throwing tantrums, which is like always find villains like these because it is like, okay, you have this super genius, but what makes their life go south to the point that they stoop to villainy? Because they are very petty and are very selfish, which goes to show that just because you're a genius doesn't mean that you're always going to be in the right or you're going to be champion enough for you not to turn the other cheek. It goes to show that intelligence is not the end all be all. It's the heart that makes the person, right? So Agent Ali has like the perfect villain, and who would have thought it was like an old villain that was pulled out from a previous. It's kind of like feels like a random nobody cares villain like the Spot to be like the main villain, and because this really monstrous character in the movie across the Spider-Verse, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That was awesome. So it's very reminiscent of that too.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Much of the visuals.
And the character is not used in the sense that he becomes way more interesting. He's just interesting already from the package, right? But as you can probably guess in this kind of spy flick and everything like that, there's a bigger picture and there's a bigger villain. And I think the villain is bigger than ever. And the movie is not scared of like just like sinking its teeth in when it's time. Like for example, this movie started off with them showing what Iris is capable of. And I gotta say, the character that uses Iris is freaking like is using it is better way they better before than the previous character that uses it. It looks really cool, right? And it looks like, might I say, it's kind of badass, right? So the contrast is so awesome when the following sequence is another person using this really high-tech stuff, but he fumbles it. And it's like it's so cool that because of like one, you have this kind of tech that is considered second class at this point of the story of the bigger story, right? But the character making it look like way more incredible than it was before because it's not about the tool, it's about the one who use it, right? And then you move straight after that, it's like the most powerful tool used by a total amateur, and it wasn't as good, even though that tool they have been showing it, you know, have been teased to us in the previous projects, right? So that's kind of awesome. And then in the final act, the villain goes hard, doesn't he? He's also teased throughout the whole thing, and he goes hard. The movie is not afraid to just straight up show. You know, it's like the opposite of what was that, the I don't remember, there's so many Godzilla movies, the one with the Aaron Taylor Johnson as the main character, and there's like,
The first
yeah, it's
first
like,
new
oh, it's
Godzilla reboot.
Godzilla, let's keep showing the shadow and the shadow and the shadow, and then in the final 5 minutes then they show like 1-2 shots of frames, like, dude, it's Godzilla, we know it's Godzilla, like just show him, we want to see Godzilla, right? So this movie is not afraid to do that. The characters all, and there's even one character in particular, right? Remember the guy in the evil organization, so to speak, right? He was shown as a meathead the entire time, right? And you were left wondering, how is he able to join this organization if he's not that cunning? If all he is a big muscle guy, right? And in this movie, he flourishes oh my god, that's so awesome. But it's not to say that this movie doesn't have mystery and backgrounds that they leave you. There's a
Oh.
character that straight up looks and feels like Slade Wilson,
Oh yeah.
Deathstroke, and yeah, that's kind of like, I don't wanna be too obvious about it, but come on now. Of course it's gonna be more. It's like totally safe for the sequel. Oh guys, so
Or the
good.
series or something.
No,
Um
any sequel that yeah, that's the question, right? Is the series going to continue straight from the movie, or is the series going to be independent? Which I think the obvious answer will be the prior, because at this point with the second movie, like I said already, it's a direct continuation, and you will be lost without season 3. Yeah, so you know your answer. I know my answer. I think it's totally going to pop off. Series or movie, this character, I can't wait to see more of him.
oh yeah. In terms of the music, right? So the first movie was trying to pull in many newcomers, so they have to be as mainstream as they can by making sure like the music is very hip hop or something, or when it comes to like making the action scenes more epic, maybe something about like Hollywood kind of like orchestral and stuff or something like that. But in the second movie, it feels like they already know what the franchise is, and it's about technology. So the fact that they can get someone as epic as M Nasir, our local legendary musician, right, to be to sing a song, but in the style of like very this I don't know, very electronic tinge pop song, and the fact that most of the music also is very electronic, and because it's already like knows that this is about the very technologically advanced fictional nation or city in Malaysia called Cyberraya. So the music reflects that even more in the second movie than the first movie.
And
It has created that, you know, this is not a music for any other movie, it's a music for Agent Ali.
not only
Yeah.
does the music pop, uh, pop off, and it does pop music, right?
Yeah.
Some of it, right? But you know, it also have some melodramatic tones
Oh
on
yeah,
them, and
because
they
of
really
yeah.
fit all the scenes in the sense that they're not manipulating us on how to feel. It's more like you know, it's not also telling the story. It's just that the music, the ones that have lyrics and the ones that don't have lyrics, there's just the instrumentals. They fit every scene, and I like that the overall thing. I think this is like one or no hip hop songs, which we love hip hop. We really do, and I gotta admit, most of the hip hop that I heard from Malaysia, a lot of them are terrible, and you know, it's kind of sad to say that to this day, even to this day, right, in 2025, Too Fat have made some of the best, which is mind you, it's not praise from me, because even I don't listen to Too Fat all that much, and you can only imagine how I feel about these others, which has given up on our own culture, which is trying to be so much like the Spanish music or the stupid trap music or whatever, right? So it's a hellhole of a music collective, right? And while I get the theme and what they're trying to say and everything in on the first movie, right? I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the music. In this one, it's like as a guy who loves hip hop, you have to like appreciate how much the fact that this movie can make music with the genres that is like not on my top list, you know, like pop or ballads or whatever, but make it work and make it work even better than my favorite genre, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
is kind of cool, and music is also in general not a strong suit of most Malaysian movies in live action or
Oh
anything,
yeah,
and Malaysian
man.
freaking sucks. For us to point out that the soundtrack and musical score is very good, right? It's a big deal. It is a big deal.
I'm not sure about who made the music for the first movie, but for the second movie, I think it's the same person. I think
Yeah.
it's their in-house composer. And for an in-house composer to make something banger like that, it's telling of the quality, man.
It's also telling of the fact that each component, right, or of it doesn't matter the one who draws the concepts, the ones who animate, the director, the writers, and even the music composers. They are all trying to do their best to like to this one direction that makes this thing work. And I feel that, man. This movie is like funny too. He has a lot of like comedy that works, and I would say fit the scenes without being like draggy, like some of the worst. I don't want to say the phrase again, so I'm not gonna say it. But some of the worst where I'm talking about, right? When something serious happen and then people always make jokes. This movie does not do that. It just moves along. But when the joke hits, it's good. And there are some conflict and kind of dark themes that they decided to go with this one, which mind you, when I say dark themes, it doesn't mean like people have to die all the time, but when people do, it hits hard. And this movie have that people does get hurt and things does go awry, and the heart of it all is still Ali.
Yes.
And without Ali, we wouldn't have all of this conflict because he is special more so than the tools that he used. And he is at this point, you can kind of say he's so resourceful that you can put him in any situation, he can thrive. And part of how he thrives is his team. The team behind his back is part of the disease winning. He's owning it, right? It's not like he does all of this alone. It's not one of those characters that you just like. No, if anything, he kind of reminds me of Star-Lord for Guardians of the Galaxy, whereas he's
Interesting.
supposed to have this like really powerful galactic ability. He never got to use it and haven't showcased it other than two frames in the entirety of the MCU. And most of the time when he succeeds is because of his teamwork with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Was Agent Ali's teamwork with the rest of the Agents of Mata. And dude, they don't neglect all the characters too. And I'm not just mean about the civilians that I talk about, right? Okay, by the way, I forgot to say this part. You know where there's like the beam in the sky and then people are like, oh, we're supposed to care about the city because there's a beam in the sky. No, you can't stop there. You need to show the people, right? So then the movies show people in the crowd and everything like that. When they show civilians instead, it feels like, yes, it's like showing the civilians that we should care about saving, but also it is a little bit personal in tone, which makes it work even more, right? And then there are other characters, like I was getting into, right? That they did not neglect, and some of them even upgraded. And we kind of need a reminder that these characters are badasses in of themselves, because just because the world is expanding and there's more characters being introduced doesn't mean that the new characters will just override the other characters and they are left behind. What do you think this is, Dragon Ball Z?
Yamcha, no!
No, it's not. These are writers who actually care about the characters, and it's good that when they decided not to kill off the characters, when they're there, oh my god, they really are like cool. I mean, when season 3 focuses on the agents, these are focuses on the other characters that we kind of forget about, and Agent Ali make them flourish so much. And oh man, there's like people teleporting anywhere. There's like hairpins turning into slashes and everything. Oh god. The thing about the third act is that it can kind of go to some wacky territory, kind of reminiscent to Hawkeye season 1, right? But just like Hawkeye season 1, it somehow works. But that, whereas that, some fans can find insulting. But in Agent Ali 2, right, in Agent Ali 2, when they do this bonkers thing, it goes back to the heart of the character, which is Ali and also Alisha. And this is so, as he said, cheesily, where we were drinking teh tarik yesterday, and we cannot spell Alisha without Ali. Oh God. Which is true.
Which is true
Which is
actually.
true.
Which is true actually.
Yeah, that's really cute, right? The but I do find one particular problem is that the movie is kind of made like this one character, the mayor, kind of more powerful than the organization itself. Instead of like this organization Mata is cooperating with the mayor. It feels kind of weird. It's as if like the mayor suddenly becomes this like omnipotent being that gets to decide everything, every
Yep.
call.
Yep.
And that's including some members to be inserted into Mata, which I find kind of like, when does this happen? Especially, if you follow this series, something happened to the mayor before, so this makes it weird. There's like not only does the dynamic between the governing body of Cyberraya and Mata changes a bit, it's also the mayor becomes less compassionate, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah. So I think after watching it the first time and then watching again with you, I think for the first time I only solely watch it as an outsider watching a movie, a critic or something, I would say. And the second time I watch it with you, it's actually a half and half. So I have to be honest with you, what I feel about this movie, I'm like the fanboy me. I'm like soaring to like, this is the greatest thing that I ever seen so far in this franchise. It is like very speaks to me as a fan. It delivers on every single character intrigue and relationship camaraderie, and they deliver more on the action that there is a trademark of this franchise and all the set pieces and everything. But then I put myself in a casual viewer's shoe, which is like I love everything what I see. It's great. The character development, the writing, the action is great. But where is how do I like hammer down my feeling even more? I mean, where do I compartmentalize like the emptiness that I feel when I watch this while I'm liking all the outward stuff? Like the you don't know where to put the attachment in if you watch it as a casual viewer. So I'm like, even I watch it with you, it's like it's a half and half thing. I really love it, but also when I put myself in their shoes, I'm like, it's also I feel also the emptiness of watching Agent Ali the movie, the second movie.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's kind of weird, but what if I tell you that this movie is way more sophisticated than Thunderbolts, whereas it says out loud and there's a character that is surrounding the topic of emptiness. This movie just does it without saying it. That's what you're feeling. That's the theme of the movie. The theme of, with all these people around you, at the end, you can still only rely on yourself.
It's not really about thematically in the movie. If this is about an audience member in general, when about their movie going experience is what I'm talking about.
Okay. How about like okay, I said what I said about the team and everything. I'm not trying to the team, TEAM, right? Where Ali relies on them, but there are some parts when maybe not the character Ali in this particular character Alicia goes to the theme, THEME now, of loneliness, right? But how about another thing altogether? How about the fact that if you live a hedonistic life and you only care about watching entertainment after entertainment, there will be some point of emptiness. I think that's just that. I think it's not Agent Ali 2 per se. I think it is straight up like a what do you call it thing? The hate that breaks the camel's back.
The straw that breaks the camel's back.
I kind of like the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Okay. Let me paint you a better picture.
Okay.
I think you already saw this and you like, you baffled as to what happened. I mean, I don't really show it that much with Agent Ali 2, but I did show it when I watched Ola Bola. You saw me, I'm like, very enthusiastic AF and everything, blah, 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 blah. I even gushed it when I still write my blog. But after all of that excitement, I'm like, it's just another day. I feel nothing. It's exactly like that with Agent Ali, the movie.
Yeah, I don't want to turn this review into a therapy session. Real therapy session, not our show therapy session. But I think that's just it. Just that sometimes this is entertainment. And please don't delete this because this is an important
I know, that's
messaging.
why I'm talking about this right now. It is important for me.
That this is just entertainment. At the end of the day, you will get to that point where you feel nothing.
Which I can't say the same about the other movie we watched, you know, last night, the same day as Agent Ali, the movie 2.
Which to me is just another form of escapism that you will feel empty about after some point. It's just that
But this I feel immediately, something like that, instead of like
no, you can say
after-
immediately because you already saw it a few days before you saw it again with me yesterday.
Oh god, this is a complicated feeling for me, and
No,
that's it. For me personally, it is.
you say it's complicated, but just like grief, it takes time. It hits you. Sometimes later down the line, sometimes it hits you immediately.
In a way, the movie is this good, I get to open up about my adult feelings.
Maybe you can say that.
Dude, yeah.
That's why I see.
It makes me open up right now.
That's why
as part of a review.
It has mature themes. Mature themes, mind you, that does not need obscenity or profanity. But it's so mature that it gets you thinking, reflecting about your life, right?
Yeah, my god.
So that's why I give it a 10 out of 10 as a fan and as a critic, while realizing that this movie can't stand on its own. No, it's not that it can't stand on its own. If you're gonna keep making and expanding the world and you have other characters and bigger ideas, you can't keep making the characters resetting to tell the story over and over again just for casuals to get in. Dude, if casuals can enjoy the first movie and get sucked into the show, they're gonna watch the rest until season 3. They can eventually at one point, even if not at the release right now, they can watch it later down the line because of course they're gonna release somewhere on Disney Plus or something, and they can catch Agent Ali 2 and they might be feeling the same way that you do later down the line.
So
as well.
yours is like full on as a critic and as a fan 10 out
Yes,
of 10.
10 out of 10.
For me, as a critic, I'm not saying I'm a very good film critic. I'm a critic, right? So on that note,
No, nobody is claiming. Like we said before, I don't remember what review we always say. Our opinion, as opinionated as we are, as heated as we get,
It's only-
doesn't matter.
it's
As
only
much as
an opinion.
your opinion doesn't matter. What matters is that we keep the discussion going.
all right. So
Continue.
as in on that note, as a critic, I can give this movie only it almost gets an 8 out of 10 as a critic. But that's just like I said, also accounting to that existential crisis that I have as an audience, right? Watching this movie, I can only give it a 7.8 out of 10 for as a critic. But as a fan, I give it a 9.5 out of 10.
There you go. Go catch Agent Ali. This one is a definite banger, worth the wait. So freaking awesome. Better than the last movie. Better. I think this is some of the better things that came out of the series. To me, the best is still season 2. I still feel like the season 2 is still the best. But all the others since then, including Agent Ali 2, oh my god, it's a hit after hit after hit. And dude, this is awesome and tiring at the same time.
Yeah. I'm tired talking about my feelings towards it. More than talking about the movie itself. Because it is an important component of the movie for me. Talking about that.
because we have too many good movies coming out right
Yeah,
now.
man. It's
Despite
back
what
to back,
people-
back to back.
People
Local
can be
stuff.
negative about stuff, and I mean in general, not just local stuff. There are still good things out there. I mean, it's not as apparent in movies because people are just vitriolic about it all in movies, but in music, it's more so true because over there good music goes up as we talk, as we speak. But people just have to know where to look. The thing is, what's getting worse is the mainstream. Is the thing that they tell you to like. That's what's getting worse. In reality, there's good shit going on everywhere. And Agent Ali 2 adds to the physical fatigue, not the tiredness of I don't want to see any more good movies. It's more like, wow, there's too many good movies I can keep up.
Alright, 10 out of 10 throughout, 7.8 as a critic and 9.5 as a fan for me. So, bertindak segera, act immediately. Peace out.
And watch Agent Ali.
Yes.